10 days, summer will begin. Or it's already here depending on when you watch this. Either way, summer is here. Chances are you or someone you know is going to a summer camp this year. I mean, if summer camp doesn't exist anymore, then I guess I chose these episodes to give you guys the summer camp experience without the whole monsters thing. There are a lot of times when the Scooby Gang are out camping, and it's probably during summer, but that's way too many episodes I want to cover. So that's why I just decided to cover the times that they went to a summer camp. Those being in the episode from What's New Scooby-Doo, Camp Come On I Wanna Scare Ya, to the movie Camp Scare, and then this one's a little bit more obscure, but in Scooby-Doo and Guess Who? Attack of the Weird Al-Osauruses. That is a ukulele camp. And I'm pretty sure people aren't just going to go to a ukulele camp not during the summer. So, yeah, the ukulele camp I'm considering a summer camp. So, yeah. So, without further ado, let's just get into our first summer camp experience with Camp Come On I Wanna Scare Ya. This episode starts off with a shot of a shooting star that pans down to Shaggy and Scooby with a few kids around a campfire. Ernie shows off his marshmallow device. They leave to go find more firewood, and Shaggy mentions,
"We get to be camp counselors while the rest of the gang is off looking for ghosts."
They manage to find a destroyed worksite and the Toxic Terror. Roll the intro! After the intro, the kids come and help the boys with the Toxic Terror. Dennis drops the name and the backstory of Cabin 13. The camp director, Clyde, storms up and is mad about the noise and destruction. The next morning isn't really important to mention, just that Dennis tries to scare Alex one time and then, builds his character for throughout the episode. The next night, Scooby and Shaggy board up the windows and door of their cabin. Then Toxic Terror rises from the floor. Scooby and Shaggy and the kids manage to escape through the wall. Then Alex rubs off a bit of the paint of the 18 to reveal,
"I'm the counselor of Cabin 13.
They run off into a barn, hop on golf carts, and drive off picking up the kids. The Toxic Terror follows on his own cart. Scooby falls off as the cart runs low on power, but he manages to get ahead of them and have the Toxic Terror veer off into the water. Ernie gets a closer look at the sludge. The next morning, Clyde gives a tour to investors and getting mad about the cart in the water. The boys are lifeguards this morning, and in the water, we figure out the kids want to look for clues and help out the boys. Shaggy figures out about the campout. At night, they hike to Terror Hill. They arrive to find tennis courts put there by Clyde. The kids sneak off. Ernie made sunglasses to spot the toxic fumes from the Toxic Terror. They follow to a cabin, finding clue number 1 being a brand new diving suit. The boys wake and go to find the trio. They find the Toxic Terror instead, starting our song and chase. They manage to run into the kids, and they climb up a tower. The Toxic Terror then burns one of the beams, having the whole tower fall into the water. Clyde comes out to see and crashes out on them and decides to shut down the camp. Jake and Alex try to get through to him by saying, "We love the camp, and this is the best thing ever." As the kids are sitting on a stoop, crying about the camp going away, Shaggy and Scooby suit up to solve the mystery for the camp. They go to Cabin 13 to investigate. They go down to the basement and figure out that the Toxic Terror is a fake. Then the Toxic Terror appears and melts the support beams. They escape before it comes crumbling down. They run to a treehouse. Alex figures out the motive based on the attacks. The boys make the trap. They find the Toxic Terror, and the kids trap him in a net and reveal Dennis? But then Alex is confused because the clues aren't lining up. But then another one shows up. The boys lead it through their trip, managing to capture it. Alex removes the mask to reveal. She tells the boys that she was never really after them. She says the thing.
Well, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling kids in your cabin.
And explains the goop.
This is the toxic moss I was telling everyone about in nature class.
She really wanted to scare Clyde away to keep the camp the same way. They scare off Clyde with 6 or 7 toxic terrors, and then the episode ends. My thoughts on this episode. I like how the kid trio were basically like replacements for the main trio. Like Ernie was a replacement for Velma, was just like a nerd type Velma character. And also I like that he was like, he knew these big words but couldn't say like obvious things. Alex was kind of, I only say that Alex is the replacement for Daphne because she rubbed off the paint of the 13, and I think only Daphne would have kind of figured that out. I don't know. And then Jake was Fred because it's the only other person, and I think he also says that Annette was better. And then Dennis was Red Herring because in Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Red Herring just kept appearing in monster costumes, and Dennis was basically just trying to scare them the whole time. So, yeah. And then this one was weird because it had like a somewhat good motive. Like she didn't want the camp to be this new thing, so she tried to scare away the person that was trying to change it. Like Gray, I didn't like that they just held off on her name until the very end, until the reveal. Maybe they did mention Gray's name throughout the episode, but I just didn't hear it. Overall, this episode is pretty good. It gives us a full episode of just the duo everyone loves. And I like that they mention that, oh, we've seen mysteries being solved, and we've seen Fred make the traps, so we know what we're doing. Anyway, I think those are all my thoughts that I wanted to put out there from this episode. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into our next summer camp experience with Scooby-Doo Camp Scare. The movie starts off with camp counselor Bert telling kids a story of the Woodsman. Daryl comes out scaring off the kids as the Woodsman. Daryl then gets attacked by the Woodsman. The Woodsman blows up the boathouse and sends a message. The Woodsman throws his hex right into our intro. After the intro, we see the gang already camping, but at a store. They're all headed to Camp Little Moose to be counselors. Velma spots and we're told about the museum. They drive by Camp Big Moose and love it, but Fred points out to the truth of Camp Little Moose. Daryl rushes to them and tries to warn them. Fred spots that same message, but on a different sign. Counselor Bert shows Ranger Knutson the damages and cancels camp. The gang are told of the Woodsman. Bert jinxes it by saying,
No campers means no camp.
Kids arrive, Luke, Trudy, and Deegan. They go to the zipline and the boys cook chili. Scooby goes out to get more wood. He finds the Woodsman throwing sticks and running off. The Woodsman looms as everyone eats. The next morning, it's Water Fun Day. Fred tells the camp story of the Fishman in Big Moose Lake. They all go to Big Moose Lake for a fun montage. And that's where the best song in the movie is. After the montage, it's canoe time. Fred meets the Big Moose counselor, Jessica, driving by on a big boat. Scooby scuba dives, seeing a city and the Fishman. Velma points out that Deegan is missing. Fred and Luke save Velma and Trudy from the Fishman. Fishman pushes them over the dam, sliding all the way to Deegan in the mess hall. Bert mentions,
First the Woodsman, now the Fishman. All a little moose's campfire legend
legends are coming to life.
They catch Jessica in a net trying to catch the woodsman. She's there to find stolen camp gear. Then the woodsman attacks. Daphne and Bert save Velma and Fred from the woodsman on zip lines, picking up the boys as they go through the bushes. Shaggy and Scooby save Jessica from the Devil's Drop. They get back to camp with Get Out all over. The gang get a tour of Big Moose, learning the sonar equipment, and an RV went missing. Bert tells another camp story about the specter of Shadow Canyon, where the RV went. They split up. Luke, Fred, Jessica, and Daphne storm the waters as Velma, Bert, and Trudy go to the canyon. Shaggy and Scooby and Deegan feast on the buffet. RV trio, they lose the signal to the stolen RV. Trudy finds tire tracks and they follow. In the water, they're attacked by the fishmen. Luke and Jessica spot a way to get away. They explore the cave. The food trio are attacked by the Big Moose campers after Deegan is trying to convince them to stay at Big Moose. They then fall into the canyon. The Shadow Canyon trio find the hidden RV thanks to the food trio. RV has the sonar equipment. Deegan suggests to leave. Trudy gets into the computer and prints out a sonar image of the bottom of the lake. Luke finds a crate of candles and Fred makes the way out. The people in the van are then attacked by the Spectre. Velma loses the Spectre by crushing it under some rocks. At night, they share what they learned. Deegan goes off to Camp Big Moose alone. They go to the museum and learn more of the town under the lake.
Ricky LaRue, after pulling the biggest bank heist of his life, the cops were hot on Ricky. So the legend goes he stashed his loot somewhere in Moose Creek. They locked LaRue up and threw away the key. Not long after, the dam was built, flooding the town of Moose Creek.
And then they take the papers to Great View. And while they're looking at those papers, they learn that the summer solstice will point the way to the treasure and that babyface Brady escaped from prison 2 months ago. They look at the photo and they're like, he can't be the woodsman or the fisherman. He's too small, so he must have an accomplice or stilts. They also learn that the dynamite will be used to destroy the dam. Fred tells Luke,
Don't be so hard on yourself, Luke. Little Moose isn't about the cabins and the canoes and campfires. The true spirit of Little Moose is in here.
and everyone joins in on the Little Moose chant. The woodsman destroyed the whole camp, looking for Bert, Luke, and Trudy. Since he couldn't find them and he assumes that the camp is empty, then they blow up the dam. They drive off, making it to safety. Big Moose Lake gets drained. They go down to the town. Okay, bars. Jessica joins them because she was following Deegan. The woodsman then appears behind Scooby. They run off. Deegan puts Bert, Shaggy, Scooby, Daphne, Trudy, Velma in a cell and reveals he's babyface Brady. Luke, Jessica, and Fred run up the bell tower and make the woodsman fall. Shaggy loses it while in the cell and breaks the rusted cell. The sun comes up, shining through a thing and to the treasure. Scooby digs it up. The fishman then attacks. It runs from the van into a bank. Scooby crashes into the bank, trapping a fishman under the rubble. Velma unmasks the fishman to be the woodsman, and then she unmasks the woodsman to be
Ranger Knudsen.
Scooby then tackles babyface Brady before he gets away with the chest of cash. Velma gives us the reasons behind the get-ups.
After Babyface broke out of prison, he teamed up with Ranger Knudsen to find the loose treasure. Knudsen wore the fishman costume as cover to search the lake for the lost town, using the stolen sonar equipment. He used the woodsman costume to scare everyone away from Camp Little Moose. Reddy posed as a camper named Deacon, acting as an inside man. That's why Deacon kept trying to get us to leave. He wasn't afraid of the woodsman. He needed us gone so they could blow the dam. We found that RV, they realized we were getting close. So Knudsen dropped the Spectre to life to try and scare us off for good. How did Knudsen make the Spectre fly? Zipline.
Babyface says the thing.
We would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Scooby whispers to Shaggy about combining camps, making the town into Camp Little Big Moose. One last camp story and scare later, the movie ends. This movie is freaking fantastic. Like I've said in the past, I love this animation style. I wish they kept it up, but no, at some point they decided to turn it down a little bit and make it not look as sharp and clean, and then they just totally lost it with Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. I also noticed the Here's Johnny reference when he broke the door and poked his eye through. I noticed that, but I'm also not a horror fan, so I didn't notice any other horror references. I bet there's a ton in this because I bet they took some inspiration from Jason. And I also like how Fred had a little mini arc in this movie. That's why I like it so much. Is because through the whole time he's there, he wants to be like a mentor and a great counselor to Luke, but Luke is just doing anything that he's not even listening to Fred, so he thinks he's failing. And then he gets the moment to be a great mentor, and everyone joins him in that, and I was like, oh my god, that is such a great moment, and it made me cry. Even Velma has a little moment with Trudy. Velma learns that Trudy doesn't want to go to this camp. Without Trudy there, they wouldn't have found those tracks, and so Trudy felt like she was needed there. I also think it was very smart making the boys the cooks, the camp cooks, because that's their whole thing. And I also love the songs in this movie. I added those 2 songs from Scooby-Doo because also while writing this, at the end of the credits, it's shown that the specter of Shadow Canyon was real. And so it wasn't Ranger Knudsen or the zip lines theory. And he also says, you think you have me all figured out? And you're like, what does that mean? And it reminds me of the cat creature from Return to Zombie Island. Also, I forgot to write it down, but it would be so cool if in the show Scooby-Doo Origins coming out in probably 2027, summer of 2027 is probably when it's coming out because they're going to a summer camp. So if the summer camp is Camp Little Moose or something along those lines, that would be freaking fantastic. Let's move on to our next weird summer camp experience in Scooby-Doo and Guess Who with guest star Weird Al Yankovic in Attack of the Weird Al-Osauruses. The episode starts off with kids on a hike playing accordions. A cave appears after an avalanche. Out comes a green dinosaur. Roll the intro! After the intro, Scooby and Shaggy annoy the gang with their accordion practice. Cars race by, past them, almost hitting a bus. The gang meets Weird Al Yankovic. He tells them of the dinosaur. Then they see said dinosaur. Weird Al angers it, getting its attention. The dinosaur destroys the cabin and runs back to the forest. No campers equals he has to shut down the camp. Shaggy shows off his skills. The gang go to the cave. A paleontologist, Dr. Tuttle, scares them and tells them to get lost. Velma finds
Oh, this fossil is a dorsal vertebrae from a T-Rex.
They leave and are spooked by the Pete brothers. They say that Dr. Tuttle has been acting strange. They get back to the camp and meet Big Bob, an owner of a mining company wanting to set up operation on the mountain. Big Bob is happy that it's being attacked. They hit the hay as Scooby and Al practice. Then they're attacked by the dinosaur, waking up the others and running out the cabin. The trio save the other trio and drive off. Somehow the dino ends up in the van, and as he's knocked out of the van, he bites off the bumper, leaving a fossilized tooth inside of it and leaving fresh tracks. They follow the tracks to the cave that looks attacked. Velma suspects the tracks are odd. They go into the cave. Dinosaur follows. They figure out it's an old mining shaft. They spot a shadow of a dinosaur and run right into the dinosaur. While the dinosaur chases the boys, it takes out supports, crushing himself and trapping the boys. Scooby spots a real dino egg. The dino breaks free and the boys escape. They show the others the egg. Weird Al shows them his trap concept. The bait is set and the dinosaur appears. Then a red dinosaur appears behind the gang. The dinosaurs race to the egg and fight. Everyone gets into the spot and Scooby-Doo has to play a chord to unleash the water. He manages to play that note, opening the flood gates. Al saves the gang as the dinosaurs get swept into the net. Al and the officer unmask the dinos to be the Pete's. The gang explain everything.
The two Pete's did work for the university, but were doing a little illegal fossil hunting on the side. When they found the priceless crystallized egg, they knew they had struck it rich.
The Pete's then say the thing.
And we would have gotten away with it too. If it weren't for you meddling kids there, the musical stylings of Weird Al Yankovic.
The camp gets populated again, and Scooby gets a present from Weird Al. Then they play us out to the credits. Part of me feels like this kind of was just thrown together a little bit because the green dinosaur was in it for 90% of the episode, and then they're like, oh, but if we want it to be the brothers, we need another dinosaur to appear just so we can make little kids realize that, oh, he was a part of it. If little kids weren't the target audience, they could have pulled that snow ghost and had the other brother be there at the end, just like how in that snow ghost, they just had the other guy appear there. And then they could have just had the same lines of being like, yeah, I was just doing all the digging while he was scaring everyone off. But then at the end, he kind of explains it like, oh, I thought he was going to take it for himself, so I decided to take it for myself. I also feel like it's like the Urkel episode where everyone hated Urkel, but the one person that was nice to him is the culprit. They kind of did this in this episode too. Dr. Tuttle and Big Bob didn't like Weird Al's accordion camp, and then the two boys, the two Pete's, were like the only ones that were kind of nice to him. They were the culprits, so yeah. Speaking of Weird Al, I kind of enjoy that they just kept making him sing things a little bit weirdly, because that's like his whole shtick. I believe that's all I really wanted to say about this episode, so let's just wrap this shindig up. So there you have it, all the summer camp creeps of Scooby-Doo. Which one is your favorite, and which one do you think has the better camp experience? For me, it's gotta be Scooby-Doo Camp Scare because of the animation and the concept of bringing camp stories to life to be the monsters. It has a longer runtime to show more camp activities. Yeah, the movie for both is my answer. Without further ado, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a big like down below. And if you guys haven't already, please check out this video. Maybe you'll enjoy that one too, or you'll enjoy this one. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video. Peace.